Hey floaters, welcome back. This is Vijay, the Float Guru here, and in this video I'm going to share with you how to avoid the 6 most common mistakes in the float tank. Let's get straight into it. As you know, flotation takes a bit of practice. It's like any skill you pick up. It could be meditation, training your mind, or working out your body. You have to consistently do it in a certain way so that you get better at it. And when it comes to learning, there are 2 different aspects to it. One is doing the right thing consistently. The other one is avoiding the wrong things. So like I said, let's look at the things that people get wrong most of the time, or the mistakes they make, so that you can become a better floater. Number 1, the first thing is taking such a hot shower before your float. You don't want to do that because now the tank water is maintained at your skin temperature, and if you take a really hot shower and jump in the tank, you'll probably feel that the water is too cold in the tank and you're not going to experience sensory deprivation. So it's common sense to take a really lukewarm shower, and when you go into the tank, the same temperature is maintained. Some float centers don't have this option. They don't have an option of setting the temperature. What you want to do then is take a shower, wait for a couple of minutes, cool down, and then go into the tank. That's how you want to do it, okay? Number 2, second thing I find that most people do is they touch their face when they float. This is due to going into the tank straight after the shower without drying their face. What happens is you find water droplets moving here and there on your face. You would have the urge to itch. If you have the urge to scratch, then just wait for 5 seconds and I promise it goes away. Second thing I find is when they move their arms around, they take it over their head and they have water drops on their face, and it's salt water and your eyes are going to burn. You don't want that when you're floating, because obviously now you have to get out of the tank, wash your face, or you have to use the spray bottle to clean your face. You don't want to do all these things when you're floating. You want to keep it consistent. So try not to touch your face at any point in your float, and obviously when you move your arms around, then try not to move it over your head. Just move it along the sides. Find that you don't get salt water in your eyes. Number 3, moving too much in the tank. You don't want to move around in the tank, and you're trying to keep as still as possible. And you might be bouncing off the sides because you're pushing a bit too hard than necessary to balance yourself. So what you can do is stretch your arms out and see if you can touch the sides. After that, slowly bring your arms in. And as you keep moving in, just very gently come in, then set your arm position to however you like it. I'll talk about the arm positions in a different video, but the idea is to balance yourself and slowly move in. Also remember that your aim is not to stay in the center of the tank, but your aim is not to touch the sides. So if you're touching the sides, then just move it a little bit and keep adjusting. The key is gentle, and the key is to do it slowly. If you keep pushing around and if you keep bobbing from side to side, then you won't settle into your float. That's number 3. Number 4, most people come in and trying to relax in the tank. It's a really nice idea to have an intention, have a direction for your float, as I mentioned in the pre-float rituals, but what I find is they try too hard to relax. Here's how relaxation works. Relaxation is the lack of activity. You cannot actively relax. Have you ever tried to fall asleep? Try to fall asleep and you will see that you cannot actively fall asleep. Falling asleep itself tells you that you have to fall into it, meaning you have to let go and let it happen. So relaxation has to happen by itself. And the tank is an amazing environment for that, but you cannot force relaxation. What I find is most people go in and they have this idea that floating is relaxing, and they go in and they say, okay, I have to relax. I cannot think about anything. I have to relax. I have to relax. Why am I not relaxing? Why am I not relaxing? And the next thing you know, your whole session is done and you haven't relaxed. So that's a really common mistake that I find, guys, and try not to relax. Just let it be and let it happen, and you will end up more relaxed than if you're trying. Number 5. People come in with a lot of expectations. Usually their family or friends have told them something great about their experience, or common one is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's an amazing guy and he's single-handedly taken the float world and moved it to a different level. So obviously in float centers nowadays, you'll find about 50 to 60% of the people who come in have heard floating through Joe Rogan on his podcast. Now, yes, those experiences are 100% possible, but not when you're first getting into floating, because it's a learning curve. It can happen in your first float. I'm not saying it doesn't, I've seen it happen, but when you come in with a lot of expectation, it's more likely that it won't happen. So drop your expectations of having a profound experience, or finding yourself in the first float, ending up most relaxed, or at all of these identification you have with the float tanks, drop them, and then when you come in to observe what's happening in the tank, you'll have a much better float. right? So don't come in with an expectation. You could have heard it from so many different people, but every float is different, every person is different. So the best thing I would say is come in with zero expectations. Although it's hard, it's not impossible, it's very easy to do. All you have to think about is, I'm going to see what this float is going to give me, rather than forcing something in the float tank. So no expectations. And number 6, another common mistake is lack of consistency. You have to be consistent, and if you don't float often, then you won't get better at it. It's like any skill, there is no way around it. You have to float consistently in a pattern for you to see results. What I find is some people just leave it way too long before they float. I mean, how can you expect to see results or get better at something if you float once a year or once every 3 months? It doesn't make any sense, right? What you want to do is have a consistent pattern of floating, do it regularly, and you see that you get way more results than you could actually imagine. Remember guys, effort and time are exponential. As time increases with the consistent effort, the results goes exponential. So initially you might see that the graph might be flat and you're spending a lot of time doing it, but when you hit the tipping point, it goes exponential, and suddenly you see all these benefits from the float tank, and you would never expected all of these things. So these are the 6 things you can try in the tank. Let me know how it goes. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. What I would also recommend is, please watch the pre-float rituals and the post-float rituals. Together you can form a really solid float routine. This has been Vijay, the Float Guru. Keep floating and be happy. Thank you.